Welcome back to Chronicles on the Focus, the podcast that delves into the fascinating lives and legacies of history's most intriguing figures. I'm your host, Bob, and with me as always is the wonderfully insightful Alice.
Hello everyone. And Bob, today we're tackling a titan, a whirlwind of a philosopher who continues to provoke and inspire centuries later, Friedrich Nietzsche.
Indeed, Nietzsche. The name alone conjures images of mustachioed brooding, the death of God, and Übermensch leaping across chasms. Or something like that. But let's get past the cliches, Alice. What's the real Nietzsche story?
Well, Bob, the real Nietzsche is far more complex than his meme-ified image suggests. First, the basics. Born in 1844, a prodigious child who became the youngest professor of classical philology at Basel University. Talk about a young gun. Imagine being a philosophy superstar before you even had a full beard.
A true prodigy. But his health was always a bit dodgy, wasn't it? I heard he suffered a series of terrible migraines. It sounds more like the curse of a brilliant mind than a medical condition.
Absolutely. Debilitating migraines, severe stomach issues, all this impacted his already eccentric personality, ultimately leading to a mental breakdown in his 40s. He spent his last years incapacitated, a stark contrast to the fiery intellect he was known for. And, a fun fact, Bob, he was actually an accomplished amateur composer, though, apparently, his music wasn't as well received as his philosophy.
Chuckles, I can imagine. So, let's move on to his philosophical bombshells. God is dead, will to power, the Übermensch. These are concepts that have shaken the foundations of Western thought. But how did they come about?
Well, his philosophy was a rebellion against traditional morality, religion, and the very idea of objective truth. He believed that God is dead wasn't a celebration of atheism but a recognition of the decline of religious authority in modern society. A crisis, he felt. The Übermensch? Not a Superman, Bob, but rather a person who transcends conventional morality to create their own values. A self-overcomer. He thought deeply about how social structures influence our values and, well, it is mind-blowing.
Fascinating. And the will to power, is it just about dominating others?
Not simply domination, Bob, but more of a drive for self-mastery and self-overcoming. A fundamental life force, a striving for growth and self-expression. It's pretty complex, even for a philosophy geek. And remember, his sister Elizabeth really messed with his legacy after his death. She edited his work to align with her ultranationalist views, connecting him to fascism and Nazism, a connection vehemently refuted by many scholars.
A real case of posthumous image control gone wrong. So, Nietzsche a brilliant, complex, and deeply flawed individual. His legacy is still debated today, but one thing is certain: he left an indelible mark on Western thought. A true iconoclast.
Indeed, Bob. And that's all the time we have for today's episode of Chronicles on the Focus. Join us next time as we explore, well, that's a secret for now. Until then, keep questioning everything.